back at it, telling the same story of why I'm flowing and why am I flowing?
Yeah.
Back to the video.
Back to the video from your experience of flow.
I went, after I finished Landmark, and I was in Europe, I did this thing. I just got into it because I was like, I started to correlate between enrollment and marketing, and seeing how like, holy shit, like marketing is fucking enrollment, literally. And I was like, holy shit. So like, you know, being able to market to people means you can get people excited about things.
Yeah.
Right. And anyway, on this, I can't remember what the program was called. Some marketing to do with being in marketing and getting millions of dollars to do it. And it was a total pyramid scheme. But some of the content in there, some of the exercises that they got you to do were very useful. And because I was so open after doing Landmark, and I was like traveling and just anything was a go. I was so vulnerable. I just wrote this really, really deep, vulnerable thing that I would be something that I'd just write in my journal. And I literally wrote it, and then I was like, there's no way like they're going to ask me to post it. And they literally say on there, like, write this thing that's just the most beautiful thing of like what you would want, and then post it. And it enabled me to realize, I can like write it and pretend to myself
that it's only you who's ever going to see these words. Yeah.
And then another person who's the devil side of me is like,
okay,
gets that and just copy paste. Okay, fuck, post. Close your eyes, fuck.
Yeah.
You know. And some of the responses I got back from that post were just fucking next level. Like it was crazy. Like the amount of women that responded with like how touched they were, and like, you know, I could see I definitely attracted some women in that post, and then other guys who were like kind of threatened by my vulnerability a little bit. You know, it was so fascinating. I was like, whoa, I didn't even know I had that range in me. And that experience and doing that just like kind of kicked off my whole traveling process in Europe, where I just more and more was used to just like what those things I would share in a journal, being able to let them out.
Yeah.
Right.
Being able to allow them to be actually you daily.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
you on the surface.
That's right. And so bringing those two worlds together, essentially my inner world and my outer world.
Yeah.
Right. Bringing those two together more in alignment. It's like I don't ever have to like as much, or actually I don't really at all too much like have to pull away and need my own space. The reason people would need to pull away and have their own space is why?
So that they can gap from their outer world to their inner world. They can like
because
cross the bridge to themselves again.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're not, because on their outer world, they're not being their true self.
Yes. So it becomes exhausting.
Yes.
To project a version that is not our fullest true self to the outer world. If I'm exhausted from that, I need to retreat to my inner self to be myself again.
Exactly.
Enough to go back out to the outer world.
Exactly. It's so great. This is making so much sense. Oh my god, it's so bang on, because then you need to retreat, go back, but for me, because without realizing, I'm just literally working this out right at this moment. It's all just makes so much sense, as I've spent since that moment those things that I would normally journal, I'm step by step putting them out into my outer world. And so there's not very much that's the inner version of me, the internal version of me, that's not on the outside.
That's not been shared. That's not been shared with the outside. Yeah, no, literally.
And so my outer world is my inner world.
Cool.
Whoa!
Yeah!
Holy shit, that's fucking crazy. And so that's why people feel so like attracted to me a lot of the time, because
they're like, I'm getting to fucking know Ryan.
They're getting me.
I'm getting Ryan immediately.
They're literally getting the inner me.
Yeah. Which people have romanticized, having to get to know someone so well and over such a long period of time.
Yeah.
To like get the sacred ability to get to know someone. I'm one of the only people who knows
that person like that. Yes.
Whereas you're like, hey, fucking, I trust and know myself so well and love myself fully as I am that you will get to know the full me right now. Yeah. Right now.
Yeah, like the full me is not like, you know, me sitting in my bedroom meditating by myself, just journaling in private. Like, oh yeah, that could be that is the real me.
That's part of the real.
But it's also that same person who's, you know, sitting with myself in my room, also is chatting with you and just letting all those thoughts flow. And that's why like I feel like when we get really into conversations, I can flow really well with you because like, you know, I don't need to go back into my room and work it out by myself.
Yeah,
I can just work it out with you on the spot.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like I'm doing the journaling with you in person right here, right now.
Which is so refreshing compared to some conversations where you can see, and I have it with myself sometimes, where like a block goes up, where you're like, oh, I don't know what my true self thinks about this. So So like, oh, do I continue or do I retreat? And then some people retreat. Some people in my life I know have retreated, and then you don't get to know their full self, because then it's quite rare that they're actually going to come back with their full, true, honest, authentic self. Whereas you're just like, cool, I'm going to figure it out. Here I am.
Figure it out right here, right now. Yeah, and that really blows me away to work out that process of what I've done without kind of realizing it. Like, that's what I've continued to do, is like, I never need to retreat and work it out. This is so crazy, because this used to happen like when I was going to building jobs for, you know, a decade. I was, you know, running, project managing, supervising building jobs, and I would have a notebook, right? And I would literally write down like all the things that needed doing at the job, right? And then all of a sudden, more and more, I would start to just write down like political things that need to be improved in the company and things I need to work on and stuff like that. And what that would do is it would enable me to have a coping mechanism to get out of having to deal with it right here and now.
Right.
So it was a negative, like it was a safety net for me.
Okay, sure.
Right? Because I would always write down and be like, oh, I can sort that out later. Mm-hmm. Right? Whereas really, I should just need to be my true authentic self in that moment and let my inner world, which was what was really going on, connect with my outer world and like have that conversation with that person in the building company.
Yeah.
You know, just there and then.
Resolve it there and then.
But instead I was wasting so much other energy of people around me. I was wasting my dad's energy, my sister's energy, like other people in the company's energy, because I was, instead of like just being honest about what my inner world was saying straight away with them there, or that person that's in question, and being loving with them at the same time, of course, and being authentic and loving with them in that conversation, I would then like harbor that thing, take it away with me, go back to the office, talk about it, you know, waste all the energy of other people rather than just letting my true self out, right? And I think like people are scared to be their true selves also too, because you're conscious that, you know, if you just let that out in that moment with that building worker, that it could have hurt that person.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm not, and it's like how to calibrate the right way of your expression to let that out with that person.
Yeah, direct,
right?
but with love.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And if you haven't done it, if you haven't practiced it, it's hard to know how to express yourself and what way to do, because you don't want to hurt yourself or them. Because that's the point. It's like you're either, if it comes off kind of skewed or wrong, like not delivered in a very succinct way, then it's going to either leave you with something to clean up or them. Like either way, you're going to either upset them or upset yourself, and so that's why we like to a lot of the time take the safe option of like, you know, going to talk to someone else, or to, you know, keep the energy with you.
Or to only have to say it if we need to. There's often this delay of like, oh, I know or think I have to say that, but I'll just say it if it gets to this point.
Yes.
But then it's always going to get to that point. It's like you've almost guaranteed it. You've almost manifested it to get to that point. If it gets to that point, well, if you're not doing anything right in here and now, only if that person completely breaks out of your life, or if you break out of theirs, which means the resolution's never happened, the fracture just remains.
Totally.
Then,
and your inner world's going to keep reminding you of that same thing. Doesn't matter whether it's that person or someone who resembles that person, the next one that comes along.
Yeah.
That thing is still an experience that's consistent with inside you. So you're going to keep coming up to that same thing over and over again. Doesn't matter what form it shows itself in, right? That is wild.
That is wild.
And so, it's like we always think that we're overcoming the outside world, right? And that like the people that are bringing those experiences to us, but that's just an illusion. It's literally our experience that we're having.
Overcoming your internal world.
Yes, it's overcoming your internal world and bringing my true authentic internal world into the external world to be able to, just have it nice
seamless
and seamless and beautiful. And it's so possible. It's so cool. Wow. Yeah. Spiritual teachers coming into my head thinking about, some very impactful spiritual teachers of mine that have impacted me greatly, and just them saying like that there is a potential to just literally be high all the time and never come down. And I'm like, that just sounds like unsustainable and kind of bad for you, but I can just see how that process can be now. I see the steps. Like I can understand how it can just, your emotions can just become more positive and better all the time with that process of bringing your inner world and your outer world to be in alignment.
Yeah.
Wild.
It's,
Glad we unpacked that here, right here, me and you, Samuel.
Nice.
Very grateful for this beautiful studio and
for Jeanette, for the library, for this time. Boom, boom.
So cool. That was a great conversation.
That was.